Pigeon Pie, and I wrote it a few years ago. I was invited to a Moroccan wedding, and this is one of the incidents that happened while I was in Meknes. So you've all had pigeon pie, I'm sure, yes? Pastilla.
I'm vegetarian, but I know what
I think it's very rare to find it made with pigeon anymore.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now it's chicken.
It's chicken
or fish.
Well,
Yeah.
anyway, pigeon pie is a sumptuous spiced poultry pie using swab pigeons enriched with ground almonds, sugar and cinnamon, encased in crispy phyllo pastry. As a discerning individual, when Abessamed, I can't pronounce it properly, the son of the restaurant Goût de Meknes owner, invited me to sample his mother's pastilla, I salivated just thinking about the taste. I was in Morocco, having been invited to a traditional wedding by the bride herself, Jihan. I had met Jihan briefly in Antalya, Turkey, on holiday with her mother. Born in France, Jihan lived in Saint-Tropez, but her religious Muslim mother came from Meknes and still wore the veil. When I asked Jihan if she had a boyfriend, she told me she was getting married in November. I wished her good luck, and surprisingly, she invited me, a complete stranger, to her wedding in Meknes. I go where I'm called in life and believe in happenstance. I announced I would come. She was a lovely person, and I loved fascinating Morocco, having been twice before. Back in Brighton, I began researching riads in the imperial cities of Meknes and Fez, and got very exciting, visualizing in my mind souks filled with colourful hand-woven textiles, kaftans and jewellery. I discovered the charming traditional riad ritage in Meknes on the internet and immediately became friendly with the owners, Saeed, his younger brother Omar, and adorable sister Salma on arrival. Omar wanted to buy me a kaftan for the wedding and take me shopping at the nearby souk. Not wanting him to know that I'd already bought a suitable hand-embroidered kaftan from Fez beforehand, I told him I admired Berber jewellery. However, I did fall in love with a traditional Berber orange necklace, and he was happy to present it to me to commemorate my visit to Meknes, the magnificent imperial city. Today, I wear the necklace with pride and think fondly of him and his charming, generous, hospitable family. After the glorious wedding, where the ravishing bride, Jihan, changed her bejeweled gowns 5 times, I stayed on a few extra nights at the riad. I was thus introduced to a French-speaking tourist guide who escorted me not only to the souk, but also to the ancient synagogue and cemetery after the wedding. Back at the intriguing souk with its labyrinth of alleyways, the guide inveigled me into an antique shop filled with wondrous, tempting Berber jewellery. I desisted, so he lured me, obviously on a commission, to the adjoining Goût de Meknes restaurant for a mint tea. On entering, his friend Abdessamed Ben Zineb grabbed my hand and boldly kissed it, with his lips touching my fingers. Not too many men have kissed my hand, and they usually slobber, but I find it delightful and old-fashioned nevertheless. However, he lingered a fraction of a second too long, squeezed my fingers and gazed into my eyes with a leering smile. I knew what was on his mind: lust. He then invited me to sit down on the back wall sofa, propped up with sumptuous, colourful cushions, presenting his business card, and called one of his staff to bring mint tea for us both. My guide immediately tactfully vanished on cue, and I was alone with this young, frisky puppy. He gazed into my eyes, saying I must come back on Monday to taste his mother's wondrous pigeon pie. How could I resist such an invitation? It was clear it was a seductive invitation, especially when he told me he was attracted to older women, and quite naturally asked my age. Mon Dieu! Or should I say, Allah, looking for a foreign sugar mummy, no doubt. Tea was poured from a height to aerate it from a traditional silver-plated pot into enamelled glasses perched on metal saucers. I told him about Jihan's wedding, but he seemed more interested in telling me about an older Italian lady in her 50s who came from Rome to visit him every year for her erotic pleasures with him. He then gave me the menu of what he provided, back and front, in and out, up and down. Then he fished out of his hand-tooled leather wallet a photo of the poor, defenceless, headless, naked woman in the shower, full frontal with her abundant dark pubes. A sight to behold without her knowledge and permission, of course. My guide came back and we agreed I would return for the promised pastilla on Monday, the next day. However, on Monday I had other fish to fry with my guide, and so he escorted me back to the restaurant on Tuesday, especially for the promised complimentary pigeon pie. When it finally arrived all alone on a large, dark, decorative, beautiful ceramic plate, I tucked in with gustatory anticipation, but it was not good. In fact, I ate half, saying I'd had a large breakfast in my riad and was not very hungry. Perhaps it had been made on Monday and served up on Tuesday. Young Adbesamed was nowhere to be found when the bill came on a silver platter. A bill? I was most indignant and insisted I had been invited. Adbesamed was in the antique shop, probably hiding from me, knowing his pie investment had not yielded growth. I complained about being given a bill, especially as he knew I was a senior TripAdvisor reviewer and I would be reviewing his restaurant. He reluctantly mumbled he had invited me Monday and not Tuesday, so the bill must have been issued in error. My guide dragged me away at the pivotal moment. Did youthful sex-mad Adbesamed really think he'd get me in the shower for a pastilla? Allah. Thank you.